You grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball. It is so good to have you with us. We are back and better than ever. And boy, did we have fun on our Tuesday show. I'm going to take that down a little bit. Hold on. You may notice that we've got a little bit of a different lineup for our community roundtable. Josh Ludeman is out this week, and in his place, we have our good friend DBA Bulldog. On Tuesday, we had Paloma Martin Garcia, Senior Support Engineer for the Azure SQL PaaS Solutions team. We talked about IT troubleshooting skills, and some of our answers may have surprised you because they were not technical as the most important skill for IT troubleshooting. Who played? Who won? Who knows? We know. But if you weren't there, you don't know. If you want to see what happens, please check out our shows. Head over to our YouTube site. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and join us in the future for our shows. If you want to interact, it is so easy to do. We are streaming on a bunch of different places. On Josh Ludeman, over on Twitter, Neeraj Jafari, Tales from the Field, Sequels, over on LinkedIn. Ooh, I don't know what happened to the music there. There we go. That'll wake you up. Your sinuses, right? I think my ears are now clear for a while. Where was I? We're also streaming over on SQL Balls, over on LinkedIn, over on the YouTube page for Tales from the Field. If you make a comment on any of those locations, one of my wonderful co-hosts will see those comments and they will add them to the show. And speaking of those wonderful co-hosts, before we go any further, let me introduce them. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, in for Josh Ludeman, our good friend Dan Taylor, DBA Bulldog, and it doesn't need to be Wrexham or Philly because it's always sunny here on Tales from the Field with your friend and mine, Neeraj Jafari. Welcome, gentlemen. Andreas, how has your week been, buddy?
Busy, very busy, but I've been getting up, doing my exercise early in the morning. Always carve out that moment in time for myself. But I've been having to do it super early. But it's been a great week. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. It helps so much, dude. I'm loving that shirt. I got to tell you, you have some of the best, nice little collar shirts.
I'm going for upper management one day. I got upper management written all over this shirt.
I was going to say, it's good that I compliment you now because I'll just be a suck up later. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. I know it's cold and windy in Florida. I was out there doing my exercise this morning as well. So I'm glad you're bundled up. Stay warm out there, buddy.
Thank you. And I don't have the cool hat, Josh, but I tried to get like one of my cool hats on so I could mimic and look kind of like.
I got to tell you that hat's very reminiscent of our friend Gareth. He used to have the English Derby hats. I love them. He was a man who knew how to wear a hat, though. He looked good in every hat. Neeraj, how about you, my friend?
I was busy with kids and their activities. They had a swim competition, and then they have midterms coming in, so crazy busy on that.
It is a busy time of year. So my birthday was yesterday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday!
Thank you. My folks came over and we had lunch together. There's a really, really cool barbecue place near here called Yellow Dog Eats. I got a smoked tuna sandwich with bacon and a raspberry coulis on there. Oh yeah, absolutely. It was really delicious. And then my kids and my wife, I'm a simple man. They said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Let's just go to Cracker Barrel." And so we went to Cracker Barrel. It's got everybody's favorites. You could have breakfast for dinner. We played a bunch of games of checkers, which I love. Everybody just had a great time. They got a Coca-Cola cake, like a whole cake to go. And we went home, and my oldest, she's up in Chicago. She hopped on the iPad on a call with my mom and dad, and my older sister in Chattanooga, my brother over in St. Pete. It was wonderful. They sang happy birthday. It was
nice
good stuff.
family time, right? Nice.
Oh yeah, it was funny too, because as we went to go log off, literally my brother drops. He's got to get his kids to bed. My older sister in Chattanooga, she drops. I was going to say my daughter drops, and I'm going to close the iPad, and I hear my dad go, "I don't know how to turn it off."
IT troubleshooting.
I know. We opened it up, and we got him off the call. I couldn't help but imagine. I'm like, somewhere out there's some person who's technology challenged who went, I never know how to hang up these things. Well, we just got to throw out the iPad. They're only good for one call. Probably going around telling people they're only good for one call. Don't ever make a call on them. You'll never be able to use it again.
Most expensive call ever.
I know, like $800 to $1,000 a pop. That's a pretty big call. All right. Well, hey, this is our roundtable. Let's get over to some of the content that we've got. I'm going to start out actually with an honorable mention. We had the wonderful Paloma Garcia on our show on Tuesday, and Paloma is a prolific blogger for the Azure SQL Database Support blog. All of this has to do with troubleshooting. Her last blog, Azure SQL Hyperscale, named replica audit files. There are no audit files for the selected criteria. As she walks through this, how do you get to this? Well, if you come to this link, which is going to be posted in the comments. Of course, we put all the links in the comments from every episode. And then you come over here to my activity, and I just realized I think my Zoom It is not on. Let me get that going. All right. Come over here. You just go to the link that we've got, and you select blogs by Paloma that she's written. That's what we're on. And you'll get a drop down in every single one of these. How to monitor point-in-time restores and manage incidents. A nice one about our channel. Could not connect to mail server. So many wonderful things that she's got here. And all of this comes from situations where she has helped customers. They've troubleshooted this, and they're trying to make this available. So if you're looking for a solution, if you're working with Azure SQL Database, this is an incredible resource to have. So we wanted to make sure and give an honorable mention at the top of the show to Paloma and all the wonderful blogs she's had. Thank you again so much for joining us on the show on Tuesday. So first up, let's go back to our regular working order. We got Neeraj Jafari, and you have the 6 best practices for effective IT troubleshooting.
So sticking to the theme of the week, IT troubleshooting was the thing of it. So I just came down with a good blog. I mean, this was a good way where you how to troubleshoot things, right? I mean, the writer is giving a good insights of collect enough information, right? I mean, to replicate the issue, right? First thing you need to replicate the issue. Have the logs inside. I mean, definitely have the logs. Just look at the logs. Create errors. I mean, just create useful errors output from the whole thing, and then how to go and not repeat the mistakes, right? I mean, if you're having the same root causes coming in, try to avoid that part of it and not fall off it. Implement a comprehensive logging infrastructure and create correlation IDs. So start mapping it up, what that logs are saying it up, and then use system monitors and predictive analytics to figure it out if it's going to happen in future again, or how you can avoid it up. And something that definitely is going to help you solve things in future also. Very nicely written down. So something that I wanted to bring it up. I mean, this came up from discussion with Paloma, right? I mean, she said like it's really hard job, right? I mean, as a support engineer, it's a hard job. So how do they try to bring it up?
No, and I love that, because there were some basic things in there which oftentimes it's easy for us to forget, right? We've been doing this for so many years in our jobs, and I'm not trying to say we're old, but I got white on my chin for a reason. It's because I've been doing this for a while, and we've been in stressful situations, and there are some very basic items in there, but I love that because nobody is born with this knowledge. None of us automatically know how to troubleshoot. And so understanding the way that you would actually do some of those beginning steps are key. Heck, I remember working and building applications when I started out my career as an app developer, and I would have to build logging into my applications to be able to figure out how I was going to troubleshoot something. And that logging thing, that's key. There's certain things that you'll get through systems, but understanding the application or the database well enough to be able to put error codes and messages in there, I mean, that's a key skill to really need to understand.
Yep.
All right, so we're old, Brad. We get it. Thank you, Josh. We appreciate you being here in spirit, buddy. All right. So for my first one, I'm going to go with Azure Analysis Services migration to Power BI Premium. And part of the reason I picked this is we all have things that we are asked to do and you have no idea how to do them. And that is a troubleshooting skill, figuring out what is the plan? How am I going to do this? And recently we've got all these new features, plus the XMLA endpoint that has been added so you could use SSMS to connect directly to Power BI. And it's really where everything is going for the product. So if you're a longtime user of Azure Analysis Services and you want to utilize your Power BI Premium Cubes, this is a great blog by Mr. Andy Cutler. And Andy walks through, and again, I love it that it's so detailed and sectioned out. He gives a migration overview, why you would want to migrate, looking at memory utilization, which is a really, really key, because remember, tabular analysis service cube, all in memory. How do we migrate? Prerequisites, starting the migration process, configuring it. And then we start it, configuring the data lake Gen 2, utilizing backups. And I love this because he gives us great visualizations through every single bit of this. So just another solid blog by Mr. Andy Cutler. Great stuff. Next up, I have Andreas. Andreas, we are going to go with Application Insights, Telemetry, and Azure Functions.
Oh, this is a great article by Orestes Makopoulos. Orestes, I'm sorry for if I am pronouncing your last name incorrectly. Co-authored by our good friend Alberto Giorni, who left Microsoft. He's now at AWS, but much love to you, Alberto. We got to talk. Great article by both of them. This one is how to set up Application Insights with an Azure function. Application Insights is your friend for telemetry, for logs, for hooking up your web apps, your function apps, your Kubernetes, your containers, and more. It reads that telemetry, acts as a bridge between Azure Monitor. Remember, Application Insights, what can it do? It can give you information about live metrics. It can give you a map on your dependencies. Am I connecting to Redis? Am I connecting to my Cosmos DB? Am I connecting to SQL? The availability, failures. Oh, one of the great features that I love about Application Insights is that if you have a website or a function or web API talking to an Application Insight, it will notify you of any failures, and then you can take that failure, you'll see the failure, and you can associate it to an Azure DevOps board, and then immediately you can submit that ticket to a developer and say, hey, here's a bug, and it submits it automatically. So really great connection between Application Insights and Azure DevOps. Thank you for writing this. This shows you how to get Application Insights running out of the door, how to connect it with the function app, and some of the great features that you get, such as tracking dependencies, errors, cache response, rates, anything like that, right in this article. Way to go.
And it's just not Application Insight, right? It's most of the Azure components are with Application Insights, right? I mean, you can get that same stuff that you're looking at. It's consistent towards the whole portfolio. So that is definitely something that you should have it. I think so.
Beautifully said, Raj. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very, very nice. Very nice. All right. So next up, I've got Dan. And Dan, we're going to go with Troubleshooting SQL Server Connection Errors by Mike Wolf.
So love the previous article, and this is a great one Mike Wolf wrote here, but I want to go a little bit off script, Brad. I'm sorry, I'm going to throw a curveball here. I want my cohorts in crime here to do a quick thing with me. I want to sing a belated birthday to Bradley, if we could take 20 seconds, because I think we're good on time. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Oh, man, we're horrible. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sequel Balls. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, happy birthday, buddy.
Oh,
yeah,
that
happy
made my
birthday,
day.
my friend.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Love you, brother. It's been many years. You've been on this planet, and you're a good individual. It's good to have you here. But
Thank
Good ones to know, man.
back to the round table. Apologize, I had to go off script there a little bit. So, Mike, Mr. Wolf here. So we all get into these troubles every once in a while of being able to connect to SQL Server. I can't tell you how many times I run into this, and this is a good consolidated list of top things you should look at when troubleshooting. For example, I love the TCP/IP one because I often forget that because it used to be, and I need to check it out in the newer versions. But when you would install dev, the TCP/IP would be disabled. And I would always go, why can't I connect? And I would go in there after like 30 minutes of banging my head and walking away and ready to go, I'm moving to another database platform. This would help me out. So some really good tips and tricks in here about how to check if your firewall's blocked, the TCP/IP. So it's a really good consolidated list. Is it going to get deep? No, but it's a really good starter checklist of things you could look at to get you started. So it's a great article.
Yep. No, I love that. I love the visualizations. I love him walking through some of these different areas, and I loved it. Thank you guys. That was very, very sweet of you. I do appreciate it. That'll be making it on a best of show one day, I'm sure.
Oh, by the way, we gave Brad the gift also. He became the host for the next week.
You know what? It's funny. We're gonna have to figure this out because we've next week actually we're doing our Elfster show where it's going to be 7 of us together.
You can be a Santa Claus.
And this is a reminder: if you haven't already purchased something for your Elfster person, you should do that on the Elfster page. Their address is located, so if you need to ship it, because none of us are really right next to one another, we're all going to be doing this over video. I do recommend sending it in a gift bag if you purchase off of Amazon, which is what I did, so that way the other person can't cheat initially. They're going to get it in a bag, and we'll know whether they open it or not. But don't forget, so on Monday we aren't actually doing the show on Tuesday, so we'll have to figure out how we're going to do the hosting thing.
You can be the Santa Claus of the show.
I could be the Santa Claus. You're not wrong. I just don't know if I can do what Andreas has got in that amount of time and make it all white. All right.
Andreas reminds me of one of those Harlequin book covers. You just need him to pose like this.
I do agree. I every now and then I think he just ought to be like, standing there like this. Maybe we get some wind just going. Andreas Padilla.
Isn't there a Disney character like that? Who's the guy from the Princess Beauty and the Beast?
Oh, Gaston.
Yeah, Gaston.
You're too nice to be Gaston, buddy. You got the muscles and the pretty face, but you're not mean. So, all right, enough of that. Let's move on for a second. So we go from Dan. We're going over to Neeraj now. Neeraj, bring it back home to us. We have defining customer support in 2023, 7 keys of modern support.
Yeah, so the author has given a really nice thing because 2023, because of all these things happening out in the IT industry, customer support is going to be a key for successful companies to survive, right? If you go a little bit down, he's showing why customer support is important for business, right? Highly happy customers, always highly engaged. Any feedback that you give for the product, and that's what we also do on Tales from the Field. Every time when we have a product group coming into the meeting, they definitely ask for the feedback. They want us to improve the products, and that's what we also are collecting up as individuals. And then it breaks down in the bottom where it goes down saying defining your customer support level, what type of support you should be getting it, what things to be doing it up, decisions making on it, how to do it to make it successful customer support. That is something that is going to be key for every company this year.
Oh, I love it. And it's beautiful. These different bullet points of it: style, voice and tone,
yep.
Speed, coverage, language, process. So many good things. This is a really, really great one. I love how it defines the process.
Yep.
Nice stuff. So I'm up next. And what I've got, I'm going to go over to Azure Synapse Analytics, and we've got a great blog. This is actually from back in April last year, so this has been around for a while. So if you're already using this, fantastic. But if you have a dedicated pool on Azure Synapse Analytics, you should be using this. And this is the Analyzer Report. It's a blog by Sanjay Raut. And what this does is it talks about the report details about issues for tables, all tables, tables externals. And look at this beautiful graph right here. What it does is it's going to be able to pull metadata from your system to be able to let you see any issues that you have. It's just tables with issues or tables or all tables and information about them. And you can see right here, it's showing that some of these tables, we're looking at tables with issues. We've got some hash skew. We've got some hashed and replicated tables. It's got some recommendations that we can see. And it's trying to tell us what the problem is, whether it's outdated statistics or whether it's data skewness. And if you're looking at how can I get access to this, again, a lot of detail on this. There's a great GitHub location. And if you go to that GitHub location, you'll be able to download it. You'll be able to get the Power BI template file. You'll be able to put this in place. And it even walks through an optional scheduled refresh for Power BI for the service if you want to be able to have this happen on a regular basis. But when we talk about troubleshooting, part of what you got to have is the data. And if you're using our Azure Synapse dedicated pools, there's no reason not to have this in place. I mean, it'll help you identify issues that maybe you didn't even realize you were suffering from. So really, really good stuff there. Thank you, Sanjay, for that one.
First off, I love the word skew. I just like saying it out loud, skew, and hash. But no, and I love that, Brad. I love that post because part of a well-architected framework, right? Some of the tenets, performance, cost, optimization, that touches all those 3 bullet points. And look, we're going through some tough times in technology right now, folks. Management's going to ask us to look at those things, and that report's going to help you identify some of those things so you don't have to scale up, because a lot of times we'll see customers and don't do this. Do your performance tuning first. They'll scale up the 3,000 DWUs and go, it's working, but then they're spending thousands of dollars a month. And as much as we love to see you spend money, we don't want you to spend money because it's a bad customer experience. So great article.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. All right, so next up, I've got Andreas, and I lost my place, so hold on, let me find it. There we go in the notes. Andreas, we have ingesting time series data.
Oh, this is by great article that I crossed paths with. It's by Luis Delgado. And thank you for posting this, because I've actually been doing some pretty heavy work with a customer right now on Azure Data Explorer and diving deeper into it. If anybody out there needs help with ADX, please hit me up. Send me a ping. What he gets into is in English, an easy to understand language, how to ingest time series data, how to set up scaling, how data is organized on an ADX cluster, how it's distributed, how time series data is distributed, and how to query with performance. Great article, great little series. It'll take you 5-10 minutes to read. If you're working with ADX, this is a must read. It's part of my love affair with ADX. So thank you for
I was going to say, I love it. I love ADX too. I feel like that is a service that just doesn't get enough play. ADX as a service is just absolutely fantastic. The level of skill it has, the capability to process logs, to push that data out in a different format. If you do want to be able to have it on a data lake and ingest it from somewhere else, sure, it's append-only data, right? Like, I mean, you can't append the data. You've got to create a new data set. And I hear that listed as a con, but I think, yeah, plenty of people use Python. And that's the thing is, in Python, I wouldn't append to that data. I would create a brand new data set in Python. I might join and union a couple data sets together to be able to create that new pandas data frame that I'm going to utilize. In data science, we do this all the time. And so when I hear people say that's a weakness, I go, that's really not a weakness. That's just how you do things in some large data environments. And this does it so tremendously fast. The capability to have like 1,000 nodes. If you maxed it out, you could have over 1 million CPUs on an Azure Data Explorer cluster. I mean, the scale of this thing is just absolutely incredible. I'm so glad that you brought this up, Andreas, because Azure Data Explorer is just phenomenal. Let's see. So next up, we have Dan. Dan, I've got you with T-SQL scripts for troubleshooting common issues with SQL Server.
1 million nodes. So this is a great post by support engineer Esther Zinn, and we all have our scripts that we like to use. And to be honest, mine are a mess half the time on my laptop. So this is a great article, and I'm going to bookmark this one because what Esther has done here is these are common queries as a support engineer that they are going to run or ask you to run against your environment. So rather than saying, hey, why don't you do this after you open a support ticket? Here's a preemptive attack you can take to say, hey, I'm having performance and troubleshooting issues. Look at high CPU, memory, idle processes. There's some great queries about backup and transaction logs here. The last one I think is kind of funny because that will bring up a huge debate in the community, whether you use profile or you use extended events. But what Esther does here is gives the opportunity to choose which of the two that you want to load your logs into and stuff. So great article from one of our support engineers, and really needed to give some love since they were here talking about support and technical troubleshooting earlier this week.
Absolutely. Did you know you can run Profiler on Manage Instance?
No.
You can. As a matter of fact, we just went through a Docathon where we're going through all the documents to be able to validate functionality and support for all of SQL Server. It's a project we've got going on with the SQL in my team, and that was one of the things we went through. I tested that. You can do it.
And I felt the disturbance in the force, as did others when
all right. Let's see. Next up, I have Neeraj again. Neeraj, you've got 6 ways to enhance your problem-solving skills effectively.
So continuing on what Dan was saying, right? You need to improve your performance. Improve your problem-solving skills, right? Zoe here gives you a whole detailed outline how you can do it, right? Focus on the solution, not the problem, right? Add up 5 things clearly to define what the problem is. Ask the right questions. Simplify things. Right? Don't go crazy on it. List out many solutions as possible, and then think laterally. Use language that creates possibility. And the bottom line is you need to start learning also as solving it out, right? Just not as an engineer, you should be aware of what needs to be done to solve that out.
No, I love that. So if we do this, focus on the solution, not the problem. Adapt 5 ways to clearly define the problem. And I like this. I'm late for work. Why am I late? I click the snooze button. Why do I want to keep sleeping? I feel tired in the morning. Why do I feel so tired in the morning? Because we were up partying. I slept in late last night. Why did I sleep in late? I wasn't sleepy after drinking coffee, and I just kept scrolling Facebook on my feed, and I couldn't stop. So why did I drink the coffee? Because I was too sleepy at work in the afternoon for not having enough sleep the night before. Self-perpetuating problem, but I love how she walks through it. It's a simple thing, and sometimes some of what we're troubleshooting is a process error, and that's exactly it. Simplify things. Our good friend Buck Woody, what he does is he makes complex things simple. It is a skill to simplify things, and it's really, really great. List out as many solutions as possible. Think laterally. Change the directions of your thoughts. I've had a lot of good solutions over the years that came from doing something like that. And then use language that creates possibilities. Lead your thinking with phrases like what if and imagine if. Avoid negative language such as I don't think. Great stuff, Neeraj. Absolutely great. Let's see. So I am up next. Like I haven't talked enough. So let me try and do this justice and then get out. This is actually from the Managed Instance Product Group, from our good friend Sasha Popovic over on the Managed Instance Product Group. They have a series of videos that they have posted under Microsoft Development Center in Serbia, all about new features or functionality, showing you step by step how to do it. This is on transactional replication. in managed instance, and showing how to be able to replicate from a SQL Server on-prem to a managed instance and have the managed instance as a subscriber. He walks through every single bit of this, how to be able to do it utilizing the wizard. It's a wonderful video, very detailed. So if you're like me and you're looking for a way to be able to set this up or utilize it or understand it, it's a great job by our product group to be able to help folks on this. So next up, I have Andreas. ML inference on edge devices with Onyx runtimes using Azure DevOps plus ML Ops.
Wow.
Oh, that's a mouthful, huh? Say that 5 times fast.
I can't.
This article I stumbled upon. It's by Wolfgang Pauli. Thank you for putting this together. With AI's top of mind today, especially with the open AI and the chat GPT and everything that's going on. But one area that's a passion of mine that I'm working on continually is the interconnection of how to make it easier for customers to not only grab their data set, okay, train their data sets, package that model, deploy the model, and land the model on a device on the edge so that it actually works, and making that whole flow as easy as possible. Because it's one thing, it's already hard enough to grab your data and then build, your model. That's one thing. That's going to be always, you're going to jump through some hoops. Now add into the mix, man, now it's so hard to package the model and make sure that it's compatible with the place where you're going to land it, an NVIDIA device, an Intel device, an Arduino, something like that, and making sure that it packages correctly and lands on that device. What Wolfgang is showing us here is that they're taking an Onyx model, they're packaging it up, and they're landing it on an NVIDIA device. We're working to make that whole life cycle and that ML ops process much more seamless and straightforward. There's always headaches when it comes to deployment. And what he's showing us here is he gives us a great GitHub repo where he grabs the Onyx model and then he easily deploys it onto a device. Showcasing that and doing that work is vital to accelerating your final deployment process with that model. So it's one thing to develop the AI, now land it. And that is always a hill that customers are going to have to climb, and we are working to make that easier with what we're doing.
Nice.
Beautifully said, Gaston.
Thank you. No.
All right, Dan, last but certainly not least, it's you, buddy. The Art of Troubleshooting for Customer Support Professionals by Sarah Chambers.
So to close out this week about technical skills and troubleshooting, right? And folks, what I think this team needs you to understand is that troubleshooting is a soft skill, and having that skill takes time to develop. So don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself time to learn these skills. And what Sarah goes through here is it builds on what Paloma kind of built on, or did build on, earlier in the week. It talks about good communication, the troubleshooting process, how to train your trainers, asking questions. One of the great parts of this article that Sarah talks about is keep it simple and doing one change at a time. I know Bradley and I have worked at places where they would change 3 or 4 times at one time, and we would never know what would fix it, and we would throw literally we would throw a fit. Our heads would explode. But Sarah goes through and gives you some great details around learning some of these skills, and it's great to read these articles and put these into place, but practice them, the folks. And Sarah gives you the ability here to take some notes and practice these skills yourself.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. Great stuff. All right. So I guess over to our reminders real quick. Next week, remember, it's a little bit of Christmas in January. We've got our Elfster show coming up. Lonnie Bauer, Andrew Nathan, Dan Taylor.
They'll never stop.
And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a fun time where we're doing a nice Secret Santa. Neeraj and Andreas, you guys have an FTA Live coming up ADLS Gen 1 to Gen 2. We've got to get the link and the date so that we can put that on a banner for you guys. But I'm super, if you're out there, if you're an enterprise customer, if you're migrating to ADLS Gen 2 from Gen 1, we have worked with, Andreas has worked with the product group for well over a year, building this, understanding the process inside and out, migrating some of our top and our biggest customers. As we were proofing out this process, you want to tune into that because you have true lessons learned from him. Next month, we will actually be dropping weekly technical content. I've got a week, Josh has got a week, Andreas has a week, Neeraj has a week. And I know some of that's coming because I am working on the edits to the video and we've got a lot of good stuff. Let's see. I think the song is going to loop just because of the audio issue that we had earlier. So we'll just let it. We still got a couple more things to plug. Tuesday is our hosting show. Don't forget the hosting show. Also, we have a pre-con at SQL Saturday Jacksonville. Dan Taylor, Neeraj Jafari, and myself, we're going to be doing DBA 101, a day of fundamentals, where we go through all the fundamentals from installing SQL Server to understanding the different configuration options to the different options that we have in Azure for deployment, different scenarios, HADR. When these scenarios are appropriate, we're going to do a ton of group exercises. It'll be very interactive. The last time we did this pre-con, it was a great success. We had a room full of people with various degrees of experience, a lot of senior folks, and they loved it. So I'm super excited that we're going to do that. We're also a sponsor. Tales from the Field is for SQL Saturday Jacksonville 2023. Super excited about that. I will be over in SQL Bits. Tales from the Field is at SQL Bits. I've got 2 sessions I'm doing, one with the great Patrick LeBlanc from Guys in a Cube. We'll be doing the greatest Azure service that you've never heard of. I'd love to tell you all about it, but you're just going to have to wait until then. Remember, SQL Bits is a hybrid event, so if you can't join us over in Wells, you can still subscribe and you'll be able to watch it live, and you'll be able to take in all of the great sessions that we've got. But we've also got user groups. We've got so much planned this year. We're gonna do a little bit more of a recap as we get that. But go ahead and sign up. Again, that link for our pre-con in Jacksonville, aka.ms/TFTF, Tales from the Field, SQL Sat Jax 2023 pre-con. That'll take you directly over to the meetup page where you can sign up for that, and also sign up for SQL Saturday Jacksonville. The schedule is not up, but we're going to be there. We're going to be there in force. I think all of us are actually going to be there. Very, very exciting time. So the whole Tales from the Field crew. Gentlemen, anything else that you can think of?
Nope.
No, I'm jealous that you get to be with Patrick and see all his shoes the different days he's there.
Yeah, I'll take some pictures and send them to you, but that's going to creep him out a little bit. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you all so much. Everybody have a great weekend. Can't wait to see you again on Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.